Live.
Hopefully, right.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 10 of Growth Talk. My name's Dave. I'm here with Reggie. He's an ENFP jumper, and we're going to talk about all types of growth stuff. Probably a bit about Reggie's channel, maybe even a bit about Marvel stuff if we get sidetracked. We'll probably get sidetracked quite a bit, so be ready for that. Reggie has an awesome channel. I have that linked in the description. All sorts of good interviews and even some very spicy ones, I would say.
Nice. Yeah.
Definitely worth checking out. So, Reggie, how's it going, man? Good to have you on the show.
It's good. I'm really grateful to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem at all. Happy to have you finally on and happy to, have another episode of Growth Talk. It's always fun to talk to you guys. Let's start with the usual first question. Sure. A little bit about ENFPs, or more specifically, ENFP jumpers. What does this type mean to you, or like what are some characteristics that jump out to you about NETs?
Yeah, great question. So the NETE jumper. So this would be like Phil DeFranco, Elizabeth Gilbert. There's that one other lady, at least in the class, and myself and some other people in the group. I think they're kind of hard to track initially based on MBTI biases, right? Because we're not super emotionally expressive. Like we're very nerdy. It's NT.
Yeah.
Right. So that's actually probably the first thing is like it's actually going to be difficult sometimes to identify an ENFP jumper as an ENFP if you still have a lot of biases in your head. Because, for example, with the TE overpowering the FI, a lot of the stereotypes of, ENFPs are like really expressive and they're playing guitar all the time and all this, like all the biases is like, it's not going to land, So that's actually probably the first thing I think of. Now, as for the actual, let's say the archetype, what I'm seeing more and more is that they are still responsible for figuring things out, but it's in a collaborative manner. Right. Okay. To some degree, like Elizabeth Gilbert is kind of on the fringe of that because, but partially she's last. But, Phil DeFranco, myself, some other people in the group, it's all about, hey, I have this idea, I have these plans, but super big on the feedback, right? The play and super big on, hey, give me some suggestions. I'd love to hear your thoughts. That's kind of the core, I think, of at least the NETE.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, and I definitely see that with those like deciders in the middle. You guys are no stranger to feedback. Or like I feel like you can give you guys any feedback, and there's like no harm done. There's no like offense to it. There's no arguments. It's like, oh, thank you for that. And like you guys are just like a sponge when it comes to feedback, which is like such a nice trait to have. I think.
Yeah,
it's definitely something the TI people can learn from. Or at least I can learn from. Definitely, it's good. Yeah,
it gets us in trouble.
What's that?
Sorry, I said it gets us in trouble though. It's a
Well, okay. How does it get you in trouble?
So a great example that comes to my mind, and actually Elizabeth Gilbert is not exempt from this. So when I go back and think of the Elizabeth Gilbert class, she didn't even know she was gay until she went on an interview, right? And like the problem, so she went on an interview. Okay, so her story was, one of her female friends got diagnosed with cancer, I think. And she was married. Elizabeth Gilbert was married at the time.
Okay.
And so what ended up happening was, once Elizabeth Gilbert found out, she dropped everything and just spent all of her free time with this best friend, and they got intimate and all this stuff. Right.
Yeah.
And, when she got in this interview, she didn't process it. Of course. Why would you process that? So she gets on this interview and she starts talking about, I really loved her. And, she passed away, unfortunately, but I really loved her. I appreciated her. We had some intimate moments. And one of the interviewers saying, oh, well, traditionally speaking, like that would make you gay, right? And she was like, and like Elizabeth Gilbert stopped and she was like, I don't know. Am I gay? Do you think I'm gay? I guess I'm gay. And so the problem with the feedback, the moral of that story is that the identity is so subject to debate because she didn't even know.
So you guys are even looking for feedback there where you should be looking inside, I guess. Like, she should know that about herself.
Well, like and what's dangerous about that, I mean, fortunately, the person on the interviewer was actually accurate, but like, that could very easily lead to manipulation. Easily.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, if you got the wrong people in your life, totally.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah, well, good. That was a good explanation. I hadn't really thought of it like that, but yeah, if you're so open to feedback, then people can kind of move you around a bit more. And okay, yeah, that could definitely be dangerous. So, like with that, are you really? I met another ENFP that said they have like various ways to vet people that are coming into their friend circle, and I wonder if this is related. Like they're very like they do these little tests and little things to make sure they can be trusted before they kind of accept them as a friend. And I wonder if that's because they know they can be manipulated quite easily. And I wonder if you resonate with that.
Half and half.
Okay.
So let me qualify what I mean by that. To some degree, there's just some information that I like. I guess as an EP, I just share with everyone as a preventative measure, right?
Okay.
It's a weird default program I have, and I think I've seen this with a lot of EPs, or it's like if I give you all the information, you can't control me because I told you. Like I think there was actually like a meme that Steve put in the Facebook groups of Hamilton the musical,
Okay.
or at least the story of Hamilton, where it's like they were accusing him of embezzling funds because of like there were some sketchy bank account statements back then. He's like, no, I'm having an affair with my wife, and they're like, whoa, what? He's like, yeah, well, now you can't find out. I told you. So it's like he ruined his own life, by just preemptively sharing what he had no business sharing, right? Okay. So I do that to a large degree. I think even with strangers, I will tell them like what would be traditionally really dark secrets, but I'm like, look, I've already gone public with this stuff, so it's like you can't control me on this, right? Control,
like if they know about your secret and you haven't told other people about it.
They have, yeah, exactly. Like so I think
like being blackmailed, so you can't be blackmailed on it.
Exactly, because it's like it's already public now. The problem with that is like you're ruining your reputation, and you probably still could get controlled by that stuff because it's like But anyway, so that's the first half to answer your question. The second half, which is more. How do I word this? There's the information that I throw out on the front end is stuff I've already made public. But like at least for me, I have gotten feedback throughout my life of I have a very hard time opening up to people like legitimately.
Okay.
Right. So it's like, yes, I'm throwing out all this public stuff, but then it's like after that, it's like I'm probably vetting people for like months.
Okay.
After that. So what it does is it creates a weird dynamic where people think they know me really well. Mm-hmm. Because I shared all this like seemingly private stuff, right? Personal stuff. I'm like, no, it's not. But they don't know that. So it's like I'll throw it out, and then for the rest of the time, I am doing little tests, right? And they're really like SI, petty shit. Like, hey, if I said my birthday's this date, did you remember? Hey, if I said I'm having a hard time, did you check in? Like, what's going on?
Okay.
All
right. Yeah, I wouldn't guess that. Does it kind of like in another way to look at it, you give people a lot of information so they don't ask for any more sort of thing? Does it feel like that kind of, or
kind of? It's like I give them the information that I feel like would incriminate me, right? Like I'll throw that out so that everyone it's DE too. It's like I'll throw that out so that everyone's on an even playing field, right? Okay. And then I will watch to see if you want any more than that.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, you have a whole strategy for this setup. That's really it. I haven't even thought about any of this. This is completely almost foreign to me, but it's really interesting to hear. Okay, like a very built up social strategy. Yeah, for me, I don't even know what I do. I think I just okay, if I give this information, what can happen to me? If bad things can happen, I don't give it up. That's pretty much. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, so let me make it super clear. It's like it's not like I'm like I'm sleep last, so it's not like I'm premeditating this shit. I'm retroactively explaining what I've seen myself do.
Good. Like it's not all the way intentional. It's just
exactly. But I think I just think that's my pattern of behavior.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, and yeah, good that you know that about yourself. Probably sleep last. I think that's probably not the easiest thing to do. I would guess. I don't know. I'm not sleep last, but knowing your own patterns is something that is like the holy grail for you guys. That's like the final level for you guys, right? Or the thing that really gets you guys. I don't know, whole, I guess.
Kind of. Kind of. I mean, it's important, So yeah. So I'll I know I'm DE, so I guess I'll take the compliment. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
You're doing good. Sounds like it. That's why you're on Growth Talk, man. I don't put just anyone on here.
there you go.
Oh, by the way, I'm gonna change this. I think. It's much better.
Thank you so much. I didn't want to say
This
anything.
is but this is like, it's nice.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're welcome. You should have said something too. You could have been like, Dave, this looks
Nope,
like shit.
I'm DE.
Really? Okay.
Nope, I'm DE. I was like, this is your show,
No, we did this last time, and I was like, well, I haven't been with Ikram, and I was like, oh, I should be doing it like this more often, because the other thing is just like, you're just like right here. It's super weird. Yeah, StreamYard, what are you guys doing? You guys are weird. Okay, great. So, cool. So thank you for those explanations. This is really interesting to hear. So what were you like when you were young? When you were a kid, could you see the NET? Were you just straight up NE? What was little Reggie like for the most part?
That's a good question. I definitely saw the NE. The TE came later. That like the TE honestly came once I started exposing myself to David Chan's YouTube, and that was like a few years ago. But when I was really young, it's like, yeah, I was like almost like the traditional ENFP. It's like, I was having like, well, I don't know what, at least to me, I was having like a lot of like daydreams and fantasies, and I would play pretend with like a lot of different things. I would like pretend I'm Batman and wear capes around, or like go out in the backyard and like have like these fictional adventures by myself. I would consume a lot of, abstract stuff. So whether that was like anime or like even this is an interesting one. I would even consume the Wikipedias of the anime just to see what the patterns in the shows were, and like look up the spoilers of the show, So I would do a lot of that growing up. Played a lot of video games as well, a lot of largely, fictional first person stories, stuff like that. And then read a lot, like I read a lot actually, like, whether it was, manga predominantly was the gateway, but then it's like I started getting into like, Harry Potter, and as you know, Harry Potter like very
manga was your gateway to reading like actual novels.
I think so, yeah.
Wow, okay.
And then I think because it's like once I got used to that, I was like, okay, I can read bigger stuff. So it's like I started reading like Harry Potter's, and then eventually that evolved into, I think I started reading Jung at a very early age. Like I think it was like 11, 12, So yeah, so that's kind of what I did.
You can see like the savior consume like right out of the gate pretty much. It kind of feels like we're all EPs or IPs in the beginning. Like, does any kid feel like an IJ when they're little? I don't know. Or like or like an EJ? I don't know, right? Are we all like selfish consume monkey, chaos monkey bastards when we're like little kids? I don't know.
I've seen IJ kids. They're annoying.
Have you? Okay.
I have. Yeah. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Stop.
You're supposed to be a kid right now. Yeah, you're supposed to be having fun. You're supposed to be imagining shit and doing all kinds of crazy stuff and pissing people off and playing video games and watching cartoons and stuff.
There you go.
But you have like an IJ kid with their notebook, like writing down plans to take over the world or whatever.
Yeah, they're like, I'll get to that when I'm 70. I'll get to all these cartoons.
That's the final evolution. Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh, nice. Oh shit! What was I going to ask you? Oh yeah, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but I remember you talking about one time in the Discord about like you kind of looked up to Iron Man a little bit, like that character. You were kind of emulating some of the I guess the cool things about Iron Man when you're in high school. You talk about that
it's hilarious because it's like now that we know what Robert Downey Jr.'s type is, at least according to David Chan. It's an ENFP. I think he's sleep last as well, right?
Is maybe, yeah. I think so, yeah.
Or no, wait.
He's in EFI, I'm pretty sure.
No, he's the same type as Megyn Kelly. He's sleep last. Yeah. So it's like we were almost the same type. So it's like I was looking at this person, like it was kind of me, like in a weird way. So that.
Do you think like the character is also an ENFP for Iron Man? It's probably at least an E, right? Maybe TI.
I'm gonna be very honest. I definitely see that he's definitely an observer, and I definitely think he's lead NE for sure.
Mm-hmm.
As for the middle deciders, it's like I feel like he flip flops when it comes to the acting, because sometimes he'll do the TI, especially like in the first few movies, where it's like he's by himself, and then his whole goal is to like take care of other people and like be nice. But like I think towards like the once the Avengers happened and he saw, like I think they shifted it a little bit, where it's like he's like, let me just throw out random fucking ideas to like, and I was like, this is more like TE to me. It's like just shitting out like even Iron Man 3 feels like a TE move to me. It's like he's just shitting out robots. Like And I'm like, oh, okay, I get, yeah, like I would do that, So anyway, when I was growing up, so specifically in high school, this was like freshman, sophomore year in high school, I have a reputation. Like if you went to my alumni, like my high school alumni for whatever reason, they would remember me as that. It's like I watched like the first 2 Iron Mans, like the play count on my iTunes was over, like it was in the hundreds.
Wow. Okay. So you know every bit of that movie.
I know I SI'd every bit of that movie. And what ended up happening, so this is the part that I think people didn't understand, especially with me growing up, because like they saw that and they thought like, oh, this guy's kind of fucking crazy. Like, what makes you think you're gonna get a flying suit, right? But even for me back then, I knew that wasn't why I was looking into this. I was looking at it as, oh, this guy is embodying what I want, right? Like, at the time, because I'm young, it's like super popular, super,
so like an SF reference, kind of. You're getting SF from that. Okay.
No, exactly. Yeah, it's like super popular, really witty, able to just kind of roll with anything. And so like once I saw that and I valued that, I would like clip out, like I would replay little tiny segments and like psychoanalyze the crap out of them. Like, so for example, like I wouldn't watch the full movie. I would watch like one of my favorite parts is when he's working on the second suit. Right? Okay. He goes, so it's like he works on it by himself and he's tinkering away, and it's like he's slowly refining this thing, and then he comes out. So it's like it's actually sleep. But it's like I didn't know what to call it. So it's like I took that when I was younger. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I have to do something like that. So it's like I would create like my little notebooks of my little plans, and I would like, okay, this is my version 1, this is my version 2, this is my version 3, and I would have like books like that, and then also just aesthetically, like he was the one who kind of, or the character was the one who kind of encouraged me to like look into fashion and humor and all those type of things, So
that's really cool. It's like, yeah, you can see a lot of the NE, like very good examples of that, like especially with like looking at the anime Wikipedias and seeing the patterns between all of the anime, and then getting the patterns of behavior and success from like Tony Stark, and then going to the SI too, actually doing the notebook stuff and everything. Yeah, it's really cool. What about tidal waves? Do you have any tidal wavy stuff happen to you when you were young? Any FI or SI related stuff?
When I was young,
like formative ones, or ones where you felt like you maybe learned a lot from, or like taught you something maybe.
Yeah, that's a good question. The SI one's actually hard to see. I don't know yet. That's a good question. I don't know about the SI ones when I was young. It wasn't necessarily a tidal wave, but like I think this was formative. Is like I just moved around a lot, so there just wasn't much stability. So it's like literally the sensor just kept changing. So it's like I kind of just gave up, So it's like I'm in school for a year or a year and a half, and then like already in my mind I'm conditioned to be like, oh, this is gonna change. So it's like who cares? I'm not gonna make any lasting friends. I'm not gonna do this. Like so. That kind of I know that's not a tidal wave, but I know that's kind of an influence from my childhood. The FI one was the more painful one actually back then. Like I felt very much like unwanted. Like I was not popular. Like it's like I kind of was shut off to the side because I was kind of weird. I'm kind of still weird,
Is anyone popular in high school? I don't feel like I've ever talked to anyone who's like, yeah, it was pretty cool in high school. Like nobody ever like says that, right? Everyone's like, I was weird. People didn't like me.
Yeah, I mean, but it might be selection bias. Like, I mean, who in OP was the popular kid in school, right?
Yeah, maybe just the people I've chosen to hang around were not the cool kids in school, I guess.
But so it's like that. Definitely felt like I that type of stuff, like just kind of the classic like outcast type of vibe, where it's like I would get super moody and be like, no one wants to be around me. What's wrong with me? Those type of conversations or emotions. There was a lot of just like not good things that happened to me in childhood, like a lot of abusive stuff. I don't know how, like we can go into that, but like I'm giving the overview so you can decide. Like a lot of abusive stuff. And then a lot of like, I guess the word would be either neglect or negligence, right? Like, so like, I think one of the biggest ones, and I do think it's right for me to share this one. This one's like probably the most formative from the FI standpoint.
Okay.
So I was moving around a lot, And there was one period of time where, you know, the caregiver at the time, you know, I think she's like lead play as well.
Mhm.
She just like whisks me away to this one random 2-bedroom apartment that all of a sudden we're renting, right?
Okay.
Even at that given, even when I was young, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Where's this money coming from? But like, I didn't say anything because I'm a kid, right?
Yeah.
So they drop me off. There's no furniture in there, no food, nothing, right? It's just me and like my little toys and my laptop and like a radio or whatever.
Okay.
And so I get dropped off there and like, they're like, hey, I got to go to work. Here's the phone number for pizza. Call me if anything happens, and just dips. So I'm in there by myself.
How old were you when this happened?
It's between the ages of like 8 and 10. It's like I definitely was more.
Here's a phone. Make call your own pizza place and okay. This sounds.
I mean, this is definitely younger than 12 because by 12 I was in high school. Like so
yeah,
like,
high school at 12.
12, 13, yeah.
Did you skip a grade or something?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we can get into that later. Okay, sorry, I didn't
sure.
your story there. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I was in there and it's like there's nothing, and it's like for me subjectively, just my memory just keeps remembering that as the day my FI died, in a sense, where it's like I guess I shouldn't really like. It's like I got the SF supposedly. It's like I know this was supposed to be an SF place, but I'm like, what's the point of this? You know, it's like because it was a nice apartment, actually, but it's like it's empty. It's like we can't even take care of ourselves. It's like I don't even enjoy it that much. Like, it's like what's the point? So it's like
it wasn't meaningful to you to this place. It was just like it was just an empty shell, kind of.
It was just like an empty shell, but like I think that empty shell like it like killed off like my SF dreams in a weird way. That sounds weird, but it's like my emotional desires kind of like I feel like some part of me died that day. Like, which sounds weird.
Were you in like a better place before, or a place that had a lot of memories or like meaning to you? And then you just got shoved into this.
No, I think it was like because I was moving around so much. It's like it was. I don't think it was.
Eventually, you stopped having a preference.
Exactly. It just kind of died. Yeah.
Okay. And that killed it off. Wow. Okay, so that was hitting you at both places. Yeah, that sounds. It sounds like a lot of responsibility was put on your shoulders as well. You said neglect, and that definitely sounds like neglect. Here's the order. Here's the number for pizza. Here's your stuff. I'm not telling you what's going on. Here's a new place for you to live.
Yeah.
Just like probably traumatic, I would imagine. I think especially for if you're DE, I think even more so. I think DIs generally are. I mean, no one's okay with neglect, but probably DIs are a little more. Yeah, leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah.
DEs, I feel like it's a bit that definitely hits harder. Okay, so a couple questions about that. More like with the SI thing, it seems like trouble with changing the sensory environment because it's like you're OE, so you like change, but I guess there is a realm where you don't like change. Would you say?
I don't think OE necessarily means like change actually. So
okay.
You know, forgive me. I know I'm getting a little bit TE technical.
No, get technical as you want.
Based on what I've been absorbing in the classes, because I've been rewatching some. EPs actually, specifically EPs, they actually only like, how do I word it? Not just EPs, I think just humans. Humans are very selective about the changes they like, right? In a weird way, if the changes are expected, then it's good. But if it's unexpected, they freak out. Like, and EPs are actually the biggest culprit of this.
Okay.
Right. So where they talk about this is the Megyn Kelly class, right? It's the second half of the class. Where they talk about Megyn Kelly and there was this one older lady that came on her interview.
Oh yeah, they talked about the plastic surgery stuff.
Exactly. And so one of the little throwaway lines that David Chan said was like, you know, Megyn Kelly, you should have prepared that other EP lady. Apparently she's an EP as well. Like here, like you should have prepared this EP lady for the surprises because now that she's surprised, she's lashing back out at you.
Yeah.
Right. Like EPs hate secrets, right? That's kind of like actually our thing.
Okay.
You know.
Interesting. Okay. So if it's bad change, then they don't like it, which I guess nobody would like bad change, or else it wouldn't be called, I guess, bad. Yeah. It's interesting because like with Megyn Kelly, she was assuming the other person has an E and would have been able to know that somebody's going to ask her about that because she would have seen the future. But being SE, which she was, right? She's not even thinking about that, and then just gets hit with his questions like, "Oh shit, what?"
Yeah.
plastic surgery. Why would you think that?
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So would you say there is a preference for change at all, or in some areas? Obviously, change you want. But there's some places is there some areas you like to keep pretty static for the most part?
I think the sensory, yeah, it really comes down to the sensory. I like pretty static. I'm pretty boring in the sensory world. Like, it's like, as you could see, it's like I wear the same clothes, I sit in the same place, I watch the same movies, listen to the same music,
Okay.
I more or less talk to the same people, more or less.
Mhm.
It's like to the point where it's like I think people would type me as an IJ on the surface. Like if they were to first meet me, I think they would type me as like OI or something like that, because it's so I don't want new sensory. Like, it's like I'm very wary of it.
Okay.
But where I catch myself with the OE is there's two major areas. One, when it comes to problems, I immediately blame the first place I blame are the people who are so addicted to their processes that they can't deviate. Right.
Sure.
So in the context of business, for example, it's like, and I swear to God, I'm still triggered about this shit. It's like, if I email you and there's a problem and you say, hey, this is not my department, and you stop the email thread, I'm going to fucking fight you. It's like, I don't care about your OI. Like, we have a problem. You have to deviate and help me. Right. That's one area where the EP side of me definitely comes out. And then also when it comes to change, I do think there is a bias for me to change. Like, it's like, if there's a problem or if there's a situation, I do want variety. Like, I want to learn something I haven't heard before, kind of.
Okay.
So that's where the change more on the any side comes into play for sure.
What about with people's behaviors? Is that also something do you like it when people's behavior surprises you or people's personality surprise you?
Pleasant surprises, sure.
Okay. Well,
so it goes back to that,
Okay. Because I've heard another another ENETE kind of say that, like, he finds that people don't really surprise him, that he's usually able to predict most things, and so he's always kind of looking for people to shock him a bit, which to me sounded a bit like, you probably don't predict people as well as you think. You're probably
that sounds fake. I was gonna say that
in something and saying, oh, this is all the same,
Yeah, that sounds fake. I think that person was peacocking. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's not. It's not like, at least let me speak for myself. Okay. For me, it's not a matter of I can predict people. In fact, I have a hard time predicting people. Like, it's because I think it's more NI, honestly. It's like I don't necessarily trace people's patterns. There may be certain SI things that they do. Like, if they say the same thing 5 different times, I can predict that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. But like, but yeah, that sounds really peacocky to me for some reason. I don't know this person. Maybe they're right, but
yeah, it does sound like I'm able to predict people's patterns. I want people to. Yeah, it does have like a kind of that vibe to it for sure. And who knows? Maybe he is really good at it. I don't even think I try to predict people's patterns. I don't even know if I'm good at that or not. I don't really think that I try to do that. Yeah, I think if somebody's behavior was very different, I think it would worry me a bit, because if they've acted this way for a certain, and then there's dip, and I'm like, whoa, what? Because it would like, okay, they haven't done this in years. What's behind it? What's going on? And I fear, oh God, what if like they just turn crazy or something?
Yeah,
like some stupid decider bullshit would come up, I think, and so it would be tough for me, I think. But yeah, have to get to the bottom of that. Okay, and then so you felt like your FI sort of died because the constant change, you didn't get a root. You were probably cut off from, I would assume, from things that you found valuable to some degree, where like you were trying to form your values, but you kept shifting all the time. You can't really develop your FI, I guess.
It's funny because, yes, but like, this is something I do think about. It's like, if I were a different type, would I have struggled with that? Because because you hear people all the time where it's like, they're latchkey kids, and like, especially if they're DI, they end up becoming millionaires, and they start their businesses on the side and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's not like, so I acknowledge.
I think the type influences it. Like, I was a latchkey kid, and my parents didn't come home until like 8 or 9 p.m. It's like, great, just you could stay as long as out there as long as you want. Moving to a new school, yay, new friends, new people.
Yeah. So I think it is a type thing for me. I just have to like reconfigure my past narrative, but like, as it currently stands, I definitely would say I just, it goes to the DE. I guess this is the DE aspect of it. I didn't feel allowed to just pursue what I wanted without some sort of permission or some sort of footing provided from somewhere else.
Okay.
You know?
And so what taught you that exactly? That you have to get the permission? Like, do
I
you
don't
feel
think
like
that part I don't think was taught.
it's just built in?
I think it's a built-in, because there's no, I don't have anything that would, no.
Okay. Do you feel like your family reinforced it at all, or do you feel like that was
to some degree, but it was mixed, right? It's like I grew up with, like, there were certain family members that were like, no, you shouldn't do this. No, you should just do what we tell you, and just be a lawyer or a doctor or whatever. Like, there's that. But there are other family members that I grew up with for a significant and formative period of my life where they're like, no, you're special, and you have something you can offer, and you can. So I had both narratives.
Okay.
So it's like, I think I just leaned. I think that's where the default betrayed itself, because it latched onto one and not the other. Like, why?
I ignored the other one.
Yeah.
That's not real. Oh, no, that's not right. Not special. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we kind of filter it out based on what we think of ourselves, right? So like you said, your FI died. Do you feel like you've gotten it back, or mostly back? What's going on with that?
It's never felt as immersive as I remember it to be prior to that day. Like, and what I mean by that, like, when I observe a lot of savior FIs, especially in the OP groups, it's like they like fully lean into their FI. It looks like, like, super expressive, super, I'm standing by this, and fuck you guys, and like, or they'll do it nicely, of course, but like, they like fully lean in. And like, for me, when it comes to my emotions, or when it comes to what I value, it always feels like this detachment of like how like these Eastern guru types will say, oh, you have to observe your thoughts and emotions, and you're the watcher, this whole thing.
Yeah.
That's how I feel towards my emotions all the time. And like, initially I thought that was positive, especially when because I went through a phase where I was looking into that type of thought, right? Meditation and all this. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm doing that. That's cool. Good job. But like, I think that detachment is not so good, because it's like, you can get so detached that you're not living anymore.
Okay. So what does that look like? So detached that you're not living anymore. How would you describe that?
At its largest extremes, it's like, I can, and this happens when I'm in some of my lowest points, it's like, I can be like extremely depressed, suicidal body wise, but there's, at the same time, I'm just watching myself drown. It's a weird phenomenon.
It's like a dissociation sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it doesn't sound like it's maybe not the observation that girls are talking about. It sounds like it's a defense mechanism almost.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, but
I
you're distancing yourself from it so it doesn't hurt you.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. So like, so what does that growth journey look for you? Because I'm assuming you don't want that. I'm assuming you want to get closer to it and not be so dissociated from it. So like, what are you doing to get there now?
Dude, I'm play above sleep. I didn't even know this was a problem until right now.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Like, you just pointed out, I thought this was a good thing until we had this, like.
Well, maybe it is, maybe not. It depends on what's going on there. Like, it's good to be able to observe your emotions and be very aware of them, but not, swayed by them necessarily.
Yeah.
Like, you can still pick what you wanted. That's probably great, but it doesn't sound like that's necessarily what it is. But I don't know. I'm not in your head. So maybe not talk about, changing that, but in general, you've been doing stuff, I would assume, to get more attention.
So I'll focus on what I know, because that one I don't know what to say about. I think my growth journey is really what Dave and Shan have been preaching about, especially recently, is like, you have, like, subjectivity is the problem in the sense of, it's like unless you're triangulating with something outside of yourself, it's like all of your problems are going to feel real, and you're going to just spin around in circles, and you're going to just like lie to yourself and other people that you're doing your demons, is what I've noticed.
Yeah, and you'll see problems that aren't even actually there.
And it's weird. It's like and that's what's been not freaking me out too much, but it's been freaking me out a little bit. It's like, because I'll see myself and other people, it's like, I call it like social OP, where it's like when you're so wrapped up in your subjectivity and you're just like following what feels right and what's an aha moment or whatever, you think you're doing your demons, but then when, like, at least for me, it's like when I look at it, I'm like, dude, you just said your saviors again. Like, this is not. But like, you know, subjectively, it's like no, I did my demons. I'm happy. Like, here, be happy for me, right? And then you get all these likes. It's a weird phenomenon, and I've definitely seen myself do that as well. Like a perfect example would be, this happened to me a lot. Like a few months ago, I would think I was doing FI. I thought I was expressing my emotions, but then the other person would be like, Reggie, you're doing a lot of TE right now. Why can't you just share your emotions? I'm like, dude, what do you think I was doing for the past like 2 hours? You know,
okay.
So like
I would coming out in TE language, sort of, I guess.
Yeah, but like I think because I don't think we see ourselves. So the answer that I've been working on slowly is using legitimate objective measures and doing the math, so to speak, even if it doesn't feel like that's what's happening. So what I mean by that is, for me, my new formula in my head is the objective goal. Accomplishing an objective goal means that you did all your demons enough to do it. And if you fail at any objective goal, that means that no matter how it felt, you did your saviors too much.
Okay. Yeah, right? So you're kind of STing that out, sounds like.
I guess, yeah.
Either I got it or I didn't. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like
rely on that instead of
So for me, it's like if I don't accomplish an objective goal, then I have to backtrack and be like, okay, how, like, no matter how it felt, right? How did I do my saviors too much? So a perfect example of this would be, let's say, and this happens a lot, I've noticed for myself. Let's say it's a really busy day. I had an objective goal to do some social media stuff by the end of the day. And I don't do it because by 10 o'clock, I'm exhausted. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm going to take time to myself and relax. From a social standpoint, it's like, oh my God, Reggie, you did sleep processing. Finally, you took a break. You finally did things for yourself. Good job. You did your FI. If I posted that, people would give me all the likes, all the love, all this bullshit. But if I triangulate off the goal, it's like, Reggie, you fucking failed. So like, why? Right? And like, what I've experienced is, like, it turns out that one, either that relaxation was actually consumed, first of all. So it wasn't even sleep. Exactly. It's like, it wasn't even sleep. It was just me, bullshit watching Marvel movies again. Or I overpacked my schedule so that I just didn't have time to get that thing done, which is play. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a very mature way to look at that. Yeah, sure, that makes sense. Yeah, I have to process that a bit. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Don't you hate that in interviews where it's like you have something to say and then you instantly forget, like because questions will come up while somebody's talking, and you'd be like, okay, now it's time to ask this question. It's like, oh wait, where did they go?
That's why I have my little notes.
Oh yeah, should I take notes to sit there and? That's not a bad idea, actually. Maybe I would
recommend it. It helps. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like, it depends on what the goal is, I guess, and how you interpret it. Oh man, that becomes like a minefield, doesn't it? Because at one side, like, I've taken time for myself and I didn't overburn myself out. But at the same time, the reason I couldn't do it is because I did overburn myself out.
Exactly.
Yeah, that sounds like a clusterfuck for sure.
Yeah. But I think for me, I think that's the only way you can catch yourself. Because otherwise you can make excuses all day.
Yeah.
Right. And this is the TE part. It's like other people can make excuses with you all day and you can never call them on anything. Right. Like for me, that's how I feel like objective goals is the ultimate measure of someone's type, because it's like, you're going to see their demons. Because it's like, not everyone's excuses are the same. Like my excuse is going to be like, oh, I didn't feel like it. I'm emotionally imploding, or I'm overwhelmed. That's a huge fucking OEEP fucking shit. I'm overwhelmed. And then if I go across the table to freaking Uzair, I'm sorry, Uzair. If I go across the table to Uzair, he's not saying that shit. So it's like, okay.
I don't know. He might. I say that, or I don't say it out loud, but I'm like, yeah, that's just too much. I just don't have
you consume
exhausted. The difference, though, I think, is that like I'm not actually exhausted. I'm probably preserving too much.
Yeah.
Whereas you, on the other hand, you might actually be exhausted.
Yeah.
And so it's not like, it's not a bad thing to take a break.
Yeah.
But it's probably better that you get your stuff more organized so you're not expending too much
Yeah,
energy.
I mean, and just a final, wrap up on that. It's like, for me, it's like sometimes you should just set less goals. What makes, like, that's part of play right there. What makes you think that you need to do all these goals? Just like, if you're having a hard time accomplishing 5, do 2.
Yeah. They should be easy goals, and they should like naturally become more difficult, at least from where you were in the beginning. But relatively, they should always be easy all the way up, which I think is where most people get screwed up, because they're like, I'm going to start going to the gym. I'm going to go for 2 hours, and I'm going to run on the treadmill for 30. It's like, whoa. No, first goal should be to just put your gym clothes on.
Exactly.
That's
exactly. It. So, man, I know we're tangenting. Like, this is where so Peterson talks about this as well. I know there's a D as well, so I apologize. But like, this is where Peterson talks about it in the context of goals, where it's like people are just not humble enough. The reason they fail is
you could look at it that way. Sure.
They're not humble enough. It's like for me, it's like I'm so bad at organizing. It's like, what makes me think I'm gonna organize all of my work stuff by tomorrow? That's just not gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you have to be humble enough and be like, okay, set a small goal, and when you accomplish it, as small as it is, you actually did your demons enough. And actually, probably you did it more than you think, because it required, at least for me in my case, it required me to narrow down.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Totally. And it is, like, in a sense, being a bit nicer to you, being a bit easier on yourself, which I think goes a long way. And I think most people are not easy enough on themselves, but they feel like they are, you know what I mean? Because it's just like, are you really helping yourself by, like, putting yourself under these crazy expectations, or beating yourself up when you don't meet them? Like, is that really helping you get to where you want to go? I don't think so, right? Like, just whipping yourself, yeah, you son of a bitch, how dare you not, do all that SI shit you said you were going to do. Yeah. Let's take a quick break and look at some of the comments here. I don't want to leave you guys behind. Come up for air real quick.
They have nothing for me.
Well, no, quite. We'll just say hi to everyone. Hi, Anna. I'm happy to hear that you're watching attentively, and welcome to the channel. Who else is saying hi? Oh, hey, Melanie. How's it going? Good to see you. I think she was on your show as well. I think I saw as well. Okay, cool. Good. Hey, Victoria. How are you? See you on here. Yeah, she's at work right now. I don't know what she's doing on here. Maybe she's taking a break. I don't know.
Spicy. Yeah.
Hi, Cosmic Death. How are you? Good to see you.
This is so much FE. I'm like, how long do I need to smile for? You
don't need to smile, just chill. And how long do I need to smile? That's like a demon FE question. That's the truth. Well, if you keep forcing yourself to smile for stuff, eventually you just start doing it automatically. It's not forcing you.
I guess this is good practice, Yeah.
If there's something that might make you smile, you apparently have a grandpa chair, which I guess is kind of.
Emily will not let up.
She's probably also an EP, right? I'm guessing.
She is an EP, yeah.
Okay, let's see what else we got here. Gray, this is Gray, augmented personality.
Gray?
Hey, Gray, good to see you.
Anna's telling me to smile with my eyes. I don't know how to do that. Okay.
What up, Nick? My man.
Bye.
I haven't talked to you in a while, Nick. Where have you been hiding at, dude? It's been a long time.
Yeah, man. The fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck? Mr. Dog, good to see you. For some reason, this picture cracks me up. Is that really what you look like? It's a nice beard, bro.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
All right. You can stop smiling now.
Thank you. Thank you. God.
A TI moment where we just no FE, where we just.
So I know this is a channel thing. Like I've been redoing some of my when I post my clips, so I apologize. I post clips out of my interviews.
Mhm.
I am starting to see how robotic I am for real. It's so bad.
Robotic also, like you're not
I just
smiling and stuff?
like it's just like, oh, this is this and this is, and like my face gets like super serious. And it's like, so
Oh,
people think I'm like mad at them or something like that. So it's like
oh,
oh
I've never noticed that, to be honest.
yeah.
I wouldn't characterize you as robotic, but yeah, maybe some people are seeing it. I don't know.
Yeah. So this was a good exercise.
Good. We're here with like FE work for Reggie, so you get an interview and you get to practice smiling. It's a perfect
Oh
setup.
God.
I think.
So I mean, so let me ask you this. Like, so
Yeah.
you've because you've been in the group for a while.
Yeah, like 2 years now, I think, or
2
more
years.
longer than that, maybe.
I mean, is there anything about any TE that confuses you? Because like I could just answer that, or I can try to,
Um,
or like the
I think
quadra.
what's always confused me is like the interaction between NE and SI. Like what comes first, and like because I can't imagine somebody not seeing sensory and then extrapolating off that. Like, what do you just see concepts
Yeah.
and everything, and then what do you
No.
do with SI? Then like you
So
store
the any.
facts about it? Like I don't do that.
So this is my hot take, okay, and I could be wrong. Okay, there's a lot of background noise, so I apologize.
Okay.
My honest hot take is that from learning perspective or information perspective, NE and SI leverages secondhand knowledge a lot more than NISE. NISE seems to leverage firsthand experience and extrapolation off of that.
Okay.
The problem with NISE is that you're creating everything from scratch. But the advantage is that you actually have a deep understanding of what the fuck you're talking about, which is the trade-off.
Okay.
NI or any SI in contrast is literally like book knowledge to me, at least in my experience and from what I've seen. It's like you get these SI data points that have already been established, right?
Mhm.
Including concepts, including everything. And then NE is like, it's referencing all of those things at once. It's like, okay, which applies to this SI data point? Hopefully that makes sense. I might be butchering my explanation, but
yeah, I don't completely get it.
Fine. Okay, so let me give you an example. Okay, this is actually a good example.
Wait, can I maybe let me give you SC and I example, and then you can give me the NESI version. Would that work?
Okay, sure.
Maybe. Okay.
Sure.
So like, okay, if I'm SC and I and I'm trying to figure out like what a car is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to look at a bunch of different fucking cars. Look at this car, 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 and then I'm going to see what the common denominator between these cars are.
Yeah,
There's
fuck that.
wheels. There's some kind of propulsion mechanism that makes the wheels drive. There's a seat, usually windshield, so the person sees. This is the fundamental concept of a car. This thing, this wheeled mechanism that holds people, that is propelled some way. That's SC and I. So how would
so this is going to be a perfect example because I'm going to do what I'm about to say live. Okay.
Okay.
So the SI data point is in my Versavia episode, where Versavia beautifully described any SI as going down. I think it was either Versavia. No, it was not Versavia. It was what's her name? Not Wendy. The forgive me for sounding racist, but like the Asian lady who's really good on YouTube. What's her name?
I just love when people say it. Forgive me for sounding racist. It probably wouldn't have sounded racist.
What's her name?
What Asian lady that say it
She's
again?
younger than me. She has like a huge MBTI channel.
Is it Joyce?
Joyce.
Yeah, is it? Okay.
Yes.
NITI person.
Yes. So she gave a very beautiful description of NESI that I'm going to steal.
Okay.
Where it's like NESI is akin to going to Wikipedia pages and you keep clicking on more and more Wikipedia pages. Okay. What I mean by this, so to bring it back to your example, if I had to learn about a car, I'm going to go to the Wikipedia of the car. Someone has already narrowed down the sensory that I need to know.
I mean, yeah, I would do that as well. If I was trying to figure out a car, I wouldn't just go look. But I'm trying to give you like the fundamental.
No, understand. But like, I would do that more. Like, I would rely on that.
Well, can we? Well, how about this? What if there wasn't a Wikipedia? You could only learn by using just those two functions and having the cars in your environment. You couldn't learn it from a book or something. How would you go about?
Or from other people? I feel like SI
you can't do that either.
it's see, this is where it gets problematic because here's
Okay.
what would end up happening is like, so if there were no resources other than the car and myself, or the cars and myself, I would leverage past sensory knowledge to compare it to. It's like, okay, what is this like?
So you would think of like a horse or like
Exactly. Or like other vehicles. I would not look at the car immediately. I'd be like, look, I don't have fucking time to do the sensory on this. It's like, what is my known sensory information? Leverage those data points and find similarities. This is where NE comes in. Find similarities with this new phenomena. What are the abstract commonalities between what I already know and what this is?
Okay. The abstract commonalities between. So yeah, so if you think, okay, so you have your SI things that are like a car but are not like a car, and somehow you're finding the concept that has to do with both of these things.
So it would be vehicle in this case.
Okay.
So if let's say I was starting to write this down, a car is a vehicle, that involves circles, there's some sort of power source. Because I'm not gonna go into the TI of what the fucking power source is. Like, look, there's some sort of power source. It moves you from A to B. And then that's where I would stop. And then you're saying, like, probably if, let's say I was completely isolated on an island, so I never interact with anyone else, I would maybe revisit. So this would be the SI part. I would revisit it as needed to be like, oh crap, this one detail about the car is starting to bother me. I have to include this in my definition. And then I just start layering the sensory on that.
Okay. I feel like that helped, but I don't feel like I wouldn't be confident enough to like blast this out to somebody. How does an ESI work? Well, like, I mean, in like a general vague sense, it makes sense. Like, okay, well, I'm looking at previous data points and then I'm seeing the conceptual stuff that they have.
Yeah.
But to me, it's still maybe lacking a bit, but that's fine. Otherwise, we'll be here all day probably.
No problem. I mean, but this is just in passing. This is what I meant by firsthand versus secondhand knowledge.
Okay.
Right? Because in your case, you're starting from scratch with the car. Even for me, even if I had no human interaction or no books around me, it's like I'm still leveraging secondhand. Oh, what have I experienced before? So it's like, in a weird way, I'm not even looking at the car. That sounds weird, but like in a large way, I'm not.
Okay.
Whereas you are. Okay. And I think NISC, they actually I feel like they actually look at reality. And I think SINE, they don't. Like, there's a layer that they're looking at.
Okay. That's so interesting how you guys do that. Okay, let's move on from that. I need to process that one. But that's something I've been like trying to figure out since the beginning of OP, and it's always been kind of flimsy where I feel like I'm almost there, but I'm not quite. I think it probably helps if you have those functions to really, because I think when I tried to like explain NI to you, that you were also like, what the fuck? And when I was explaining, I was like, really, this feels pretty simple. But you were like, what the hell? That doesn't make any sense. I'm like, maybe it is having a function.
I think the experience makes sense. I'm like, why would you do that? Because like, so here's my vantage point, because I think it makes sense both ways. NISCs look at any SIs and they're like, excuse me. The problem with any SIs is that it's leveraging like past knowledge that can be outdated. And the SE is paying attention to that. It's like, look, your definitions, your sensory descriptions aren't viable to what's actually happening.
Yeah. And it's also weird because it's like if you want to understand a car, why are you looking at a giraffe? Like, why don't you just look at cars? That's also the confusing, because it feels like, okay, you're looking at past stuff. Why don't you just look at the stuff? So instead of getting,
So the answer to that is the contrast, which is, at least to me, when my or any SIs look at NISEs, it's like, why are you starting from scratch? Is literally how I feel.
Okay. Like, but looking at like a bike or like an animal is like not starting from scratch.
It's faster. It's like, we already know about those things.
Yeah, it's probably faster, but I guess it feels less accurate to us.
That's exactly. That's the exact trade-off right there. You're trading accuracy for speed, basically.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, and that wouldn't. I think NE tends to like, I know this is a stereotype, but I think there's some reason for that. I think NE tends to come up with more creative out there stuff. Maybe a lot of it is just nonsense, but like I feel like you guys can jump to stuff that like SE and I would not necessarily be able to make that jump. They would slowly chip away at it and get there, but NE might just boop, and just land on it. And, oh,
yeah, we jump because it's like you guys are so busy reinventing the wheel. It's like, yo, we've already done this.
Yeah, so that's also what could be said TI versus TE as well. I feel like, whereas TI is going to try to reinvent the damn wheel which is totally stupid sometimes. Whereas TE is like, well, they did it already, so let's just do it like that. Mm-hmm. And that comes up at work a lot too, because it's like work, at least in IT, is mostly TE. Okay, don't reinvent the wheel. Take all these other frameworks and things and just use them together. But it's like, well, I want to make my own perfectly fitted one though. That takes too long. They ain't got the money for that. You're gonna right. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so let's try to get back on maybe the growth topic a bit. How do you feel like OP's benefited you, or do you feel like it's helped you? And if so, how?
That's a good question. I'm gonna do an NESI thing again. So here's another good example of how the fuck I think. Mm-hmm. I don't know, because for me, I'm like, to some degree, I'm experiencing OP in a very similar way as I experienced like college. Like I've only been like when you're in college for a year, you don't really learn that much. It's all theory. It's all fucking fake. It's not until the third or fourth year where you're writing your dissertations and you're getting deep into it that you really absorb it and own it for yourself. At least that's the goal in college. Sure. Mm-hmm. I think the same thing is true with OP, in the sense of, so I've been in OP for I think 2 years now. I've been in the groups for about like a year, but I've been in OP for about 2 years. And things are just now starting to sink in for me.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I
can see that. The first year it was fake. The first year it's like, it's like MBTI talk. You talk with your friends. It's cute. But like it didn't matter. Like, it's like I wasn't tracking anybody. I was still subjective as hell. I'm still subjective as hell, but like way more. And like
at least you know that you're subjective, right? That's the first step, I guess, right?
Well, but like I don't think like, I think the first year for me was very much lip service. Right? Like you're listening and it's just lip service. You're just regurgitating what they said, but you don't actually know what they're saying.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so for me now, my hypothesis is that as I stay in the group and as I stay, as I continue to attempt typing people and as I continue to attempt working on my demons, it's going to sink in more to where by year 3, 4, 5, like things that Dave and Chan have been saying forever, I'm sure will sink in on a deeper level and then on a deeper level and on a deeper level. So I know that's like a roundabout way of answering your question, but like, I guess for me, it's like not as much as it may seem, but like, I've hoped that it will continue to go in the trajectory that it's going.
Okay. So it is helping you more than it was, but like, how is it helping you though? Or like, what's changing about you?
See, yeah. So, how specifically? So great question. I think as of right now, it is helping me, calm down for one. Like
calm down, like with observer issues. Or
yeah, exactly. That was exactly what I was thinking of. It's like when I freak out, it's like, especially because of this community, it's like they have no problem calling me the fuck out. Like, Reggie, you're having another one.
Yeah, you've taken it in stride at least and actually listened and actually like tried to work on those things. Or at least that's been my impression anyway. But I think
I hope that's true. But like, I think I've been called out enough times to where it's like, okay, this is probably another one. Let me take a step back and at least, try and do something before I freak the hell out. Mm-hmm. Same thing with like OE and DE sometimes. It's like I'll occasionally catch like, okay, this is not real. Like, I think, and then also I slowly am catching that in other people, like, so which leads me to get involved in way less drama than usual.
Okay.
Because like drama requires you to believe their story. But it's like, if I'm hearing you and you're like, oh my God, this is terrible. My boss is controlling me. And why are we doing this stupid system? And I'm like, oh no, I'm not getting involved in that, And that happens surprisingly more often than you would think, at least in business. Like that happens a lot. So it's like, when I catch it, it allows me to, detach and be like, okay, this is not like, I can be calmer.
Yeah, you don't get wrapped up in it because you're like, I mean, there's probably some of that true, but there's probably more nuance to it than you think. I feel the same way with decider stuff, where it's like somebody's like, "Did you hear what Sally said about Jill? She was saying, and it's like, I am interested in hearing it because I'm a decider, but I'm also like, she was probably having a bad day, or it's probably not that serious, or just like humans are not perfect, and whatever. Like, so it's probably, I think I'm going through a similar probably thing as you with like decider stuff where I don't get wrapped. But do you ever feel like you want to tell them that it's not real or that whatever, but you also don't want to, like,
no, but you can't.
Dismissive about what they're going through. Yeah. So
the answer is you can't.
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible.
Okay.
Like when someone's in the midst of a freak out, no, you can't get to them. Like they've become an animal is how I've been framing it in my mind. Like fucking Zootopia. Like this is NESI again. Maybe you haven't watched that movie, but it's kind of like that where it's like,
wait, sorry, I have to look that up now. Why does that sound so familiar? I probably watched it. Was it an old movie?
It came out a few years ago.
Oh, wait, no, 2000s. No, I haven't seen this.
Okay, the basic premise. Okay, the basic premise is it's a Disney movie, so it's like fiction, and it's like you have all these animals that are conscious, so like they're like basically making fun of like real life, but it's like one of the gimmicks or one of the quirks is that like they're acting like humans kind of, but like their animal side will still pop out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's like, so for example, it's like there's actually a really funny one. I think someone it was Gray actually. She reminded me of this one. It's like there's this one part where there are these wolf bodyguards, right? And it's the middle of the night. And like the way that they got manipulated by the main characters is like one of the main characters pretended to howl. And like, and the wolf bodyguards are like, fuck, don't howl, shut the fuck up. And then they all start howling because they can't help it.
Yeah.
That is how I experience like when people are in their freakouts. It's like, like you have that little moment before the freakout where you can catch them and after. But once they're in it, it's like they're an animal at that point. Like it's like you can't talk to them. You
get like wrapped that. That was a really good analogy too. Have you told that one before? Or you just come up with
this? This is the first one I've shared publicly. I've been working on.
You've been processing that one. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was really good. Nice. Do you I'm gonna ask you for some SI. What SI actionable things have you been doing to work on? If you don't have that SI ready.
No, I have actually a few. So one is I have like a series of docs that I've returned to repeatedly. There's one that's a time log doc that, what I've realized is that like the time log doc I use for emergencies or freakouts, I've realized. So it's like when I'm stressed out and overwhelmed, I will go to the time doc. I have a little template for how to create objective goals. And so I'll create like a few objective goals for hour by hour. It's like, look, it's like, okay, you have this hour, you're freaking out, like just do these 3 things. Done. Okay, do these next 3 things.
Okay.
So that's been something I've been refining slowly over time and finding where it fits in my life. Nice. The other one is a sleep processing doc where I have all my stuff. So it's like I have my OP knowledge that I've been working on. I have my like the type of person I want to be or the character that I want to build. And it's like I'm just constantly revisiting and refining those. And whenever I have a conversation like this one, or whenever I have an insight, it's like that affects that doc, I will update the doc. So it's like it's constantly like being honed in or something like that.
Okay. Nice. Okay. So the first thing with like solving issues or when you get freaked out, you immediately go to the SI. Okay, these are the things that I have to do to get past this.
Well,
it's probably really grounding to some sort of way, right?
It kind of is. I'm still working on it because it's like when you're like the problem with the freak out is it's a freak out. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the problem. It's like you're already in that animal possession mode. So it's like I'm still trying to find a way to get out of that enough to do the things. That's where I'm having a hard time.
Okay.
But usually it's before or after is where it helps the most,
Okay, interesting. And then you have your doc for sleep processing, like your OP stuff and other things. So, okay, cool. Good to know. And I think other people that are SI last will probably benefit from hearing that a bit. So another thing that's really, have you heard of morning pages?
I have. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I know that's like one of those things I probably should do, but yeah.
Oh, why can't I remember her name? I just talked to her. She was on your show just recently. ENFP, Sleep Last.
Cassidy.
Yeah, Cassidy. Yeah. She was doing them, and it's had like a really big impact on her. And so I'm wondering, like, maybe it would be like a helpful thing for you. It's super easy in the morning. You just they scribble shit out in a couple pages on a notebook. It sounds stupid and inconsequential, but it does a lot. It helps you process and get rid of your shit. Just put it on the paper so you're free of it for the rest of the day, So it's nice to a good creative exercise too. Yeah. Could also be seen as a blast last thing as well. For blast last, it would probably be good just because or at least the way I was doing it, you don't think about what you're going to write. You just start writing stuff and just whatever comes out. So it kind of forces you to blast in a writing.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, that's one of those TE tips I'm going to absorb eventually, incorporate eventually. But I mean, I guess what I've been learning is that it's I can't take too many tips. I just don't have the bandwidth anymore.
You're already doing a lot of stuff, and it's better to probably just focus on a couple things and let those be.
Yeah, but it's on there. So thank you for reminding me. I will add that, but it's not probably in the next few months, maybe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I thought I'd just throw that out there.
Yeah, thanks.
Other than let's go through, make sure. I don't think we have any questions. Let me just scan just in case I left somebody out. I think
yeah.
Did I say hi to everyone?
I think you said hi to everyone.
I think I missed Dion though here. Hey Dion, welcome to the channel. I think I typed you actually. Did you just get typed recently? He as an ENTP, I want to say.
Yeah.
Nice to see you here. And I think everyone else actually we got.
I think we're good, right?
So true about having rush cameras. I guess there's not really many questions. Okay. Do you have a few minutes? If you guys have any questions for Reggie, please feel free.
Emily thinks oh my God, Emily. Yes, you can.
With Smash Brothers or just in general?
Yes. Emily, you don't want these problems. The only person that's exempt is Dallas because he's earned the right for me to not talk shit about. But everyone else.
Wait. Can you unpack that for me? Why Dallas?
Oh, I lost to Dallas. That happened.
Oh, okay.
I absolutely lost. He's way better than me. But everyone else, okay. I wish. Anyway, let me not get triggered. Come see what I'm about. My friend code is in my about page of my YouTube channel. That's all I got to say about that. So that's it for me.
Yeah. So if you guys play Smash Brothers, come catch these hands.
Yeah, come get disrespected. Yes. That'll make me feel better.
Yeah, I wish I still had Smash Brothers. I'm into Rocket League these days. Do you play Rocket League at all?
I've never. What is that?
It's the way I explain it makes it sound dumb, but you have cars and you hit a soccer ball around.
Okay.
Try to get it in the goal.
So is it it's competitive? It sounds like.
Yeah, it's all pretty much all online.
Okay.
But yeah, it's got a really good competitive scene. It's been around for 5 years now, but it's still pretty much peak stuff.
I've never heard of it. Okay, interesting.
Good stuff. It's fun. Yeah, I like it, and it's pretty much on every platform. I think. Well, I don't know about Nintendo, but PC, Xbox, PlayStation.
Okay, sounds good.
It's a good time to play with my roommates a lot. But yeah, Reggie, anything else? Any questions for me? Anything you want to shout out to anyone? Feel free to talk shit too. You're definitely open to do that on here.
Well, first how's the FE in this, Dave? I'm trying.
I think you did great, man. There was no persona. There was just Reggie. And
All right. So I think the last maybe, if there's anything else I had to say from a growth perspective, right? I guess this is important. What I would say from a growth perspective for anyone who's listening, I mean, I think the objective goals is crucial, but I would say kind of be patient with yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of a huge thing I'm learning. It's especially with your demons, there's two things. One, you have to realize that whether you see it or not, your demons are way worse than you think they are. Let's actually start there. Let's start there. You are way worse than what you think you are. Right? Okay. So, and usually it's only the objective goals and your consistent failures at your objective goals, if you fail, that will show that to you, because otherwise you're going to believe your own, your own cooking.
Got to see it in reality. Now you're talking my language.
Exactly. Now, once you start seeing that, though, it feels terrible. Like for me as an EP, for example, it's like, why can't I stay on track for like why can't I just get my stuff done in the morning? For example, why does it take me all day to do something that probably took 2 hours? You know what I'm saying? So it's like there is that. So I think the way out that I am learning is you have to be way more patient with yourself. Pursue the objective goals. You need to do that in order to overcome the problem, but you do need to be patient with yourself, and in the sense of like if I'm not mistaken, everyone who's listening to this is going to be like below 80. So it's like you have at least a few years to get your shit together.
You got plenty of time.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, you have to be patient you have to think on that time frame, or at least you have to at least have faith that even with your small accomplishments in 5 years, it's going to be something.
Yeah. It's like compound interest. Yeah. Karma, or however you want to see it. Yeah, totally. Yeah. If you get like impatient, you just get in your own way, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't help you actually do anything. It's like there's like a Navy SEAL term for like, what's like slow is smooth and smooth is fast, or I don't know, butchering it. Okay. But it's like generally if you take your time and chill with it, you actually end up making way more progress than if you're just like, gotta grow, gotta SI, gotta FE, or gotta whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's I guess that'd be my closing thought, I guess.
Good blast. That was great. Great. Okay. All right, guys, check out Reggie's channel. I have it here in the description. Great interviews in there. And of course you have the wonderful Reggie there, who you're welcome to catch these hands by, so I'm told. And all right, you guys take it easy. Thanks for joining, and see y'all next time. Bye-bye.